The little girl's voice trembled as she clung to the maid's dress, refusing to let go. "Auntie Grace, please don't leave me. I don't want Mommy. I just want you." Her tiny arms tightened around the maid's waist, tears soaking into the simple apron she wore. The boy, just a little older, followed, wrapping his arms around Grace's leg. "We love you more than Mommy. You take care of us when no one else does." Those words echoed through the grand marble halls of the Billionaire's mansion like an arrow to the heart. The man who owned everything money could buy stood frozen near the staircase, unable to comprehend what he was hearing. His own children, choosing a maid's embrace over their mother's. Grace, the maid, her eyes wide with panic, tried to hush the children. Her voice cracked, heavy with both love and fear. "No, no, little ones, don't say such things. Your mother loves you. She's your mother. I'm just someone here to help." But the children shook their heads stubbornly, holding tighter, as if letting go meant losing the only warmth they knew. The billionaire clenched the railing, his knuckles white. His heart raced, his mind spinning. Why would his children say this? What truth lay hidden in their innocent words that could pierce deeper than any betrayal? "Explain this to me, Grace," he finally said, his voice heavy and trembling, trying to hold authority but cracking under raw confusion. Grace's lips quivered. She had never spoken back to him before. She wasn't supposed to. Her job was to clean, to serve, to keep invisible. But now, with those little arms holding her tighter than life itself, silence was no longer possible. "Sir," she whispered, lowering her gaze to the polished marble floor. "They speak what they feel. I cannot control their hearts." The children clung even tighter, their words spilling out like unfiltered truth. "You tuck us in at night when Mommy doesn't come. You sit by our bed when we have bad dreams. You're the one who listens when we cry. You kiss our bruises when we fall. Mommy doesn't even look." The billionaire's throat tightened. He glanced toward the upstairs balcony where his wife stood, her arms folded, her face unreadable. For a moment an uneasy silence fell, so sharp it was almost unbearable. Grace, her voice trembling but firm, finally looked up at him. "I never wanted this, sir. I never wanted them to love me more. But love, children's love, it can't be bought, it can't be forced. It grows where it is nurtured." The billionaire's chest heaved. Every word cut him deeper. He wanted to deny it, to silence it, to believe his children adored their mother just as they should. But their tear-streaked faces told a truth money had never taught him. And in that moment, the grand mansion didn't feel like a home at all. The children's cries broke the silence again. "We just want Auntie Grace. Please don't take her away." The billionaire swallowed hard, his voice catching. Grace sat at the edge of the children's bed that night, gently stroking their hair until their sobs softened into steady breathing. She hummed softly, an old lullaby her grandmother once sang to her when she was a child. The billionaire lingered by the door, watching silently, his tall frame shadowed by the dim hallway light. When the children finally drifted off to sleep, Grace carefully tucked the blanket around them, kissed their foreheads, and rose quietly. As she turned, she startled to see him still standing there. "Sir," she whispered, "I didn't mean for you to hear all of that. I will speak to them. I'll explain that their mother loves them in her own way." His voice was low, almost broken. "Grace, I don't want explanations. I want the truth. Why do they feel closer to you than to their own mother?" Her eyes lowered, her hands clasped nervously in front of her apron. "With respect, sir, it isn't my place to say." He stepped closer, his eyes glistening. "Please, for once, don't hide behind duty. Tell me. I saw my children cry as if their lives depended on you staying with them. I've given them everything money could buy. How could I not see what they truly needed?" Grace's throat tightened. She had served this house for years, swallowed her words, and buried her own pain. But tonight, after what the children revealed, silence felt like betrayal. She took a shaky breath. "Children, They don't care about riches, sir. They don't need marble floors or chandeliers or toys imported from Paris. They need presence. They need someone who looks them in the eyes when they speak. Someone who listens when they're afraid. Someone who doesn't just provide, but is there. The billionaire's shoulders slumped. He ran a hand through his hair, whispering as if to himself. Presence. Is that what I've been missing? Grace hesitated, then spoke more firmly. Sir, I have watched you work day and night, building empires, closing deals, making headlines. I have also watched your wife. She lives in a different world, one of luxury and appearances. Between the two of you, the children, they fell through the cracks. They found me because I was the only one who bent down to their level, who listened to their fears, who remembered their birthdays not with gifts, but with hugs. Tears stung the billionaire's eyes. He leaned against the doorframe, his voice breaking. All these years, I thought I was giving them the best life, but I've only given them a stranger. Grace's own eyes welled with tears. You gave them the world, sir, but sometimes the world isn't what a child needs. Sometimes they only need arms to hold them and a heart that won't let go. For a long moment, the silence between them was heavy, almost unbearable. The billionaire swallowed hard, his voice trembling. Grace, tell me honestly, if you weren't here, what would become of them? She looked at him, her heart aching. They would survive, sir, but they would be lonely, and lonely children grow into broken adults. The weight of those words hit him harder than any business loss he had ever faced. He turned his gaze back to the sleeping children, their little faces peaceful only because of the woman who wasn't even bound to them by blood. Suddenly, a voice cut through the tension. From down the hall, sharp and cold, his wife's voice rang out. What are you doing standing there with her, whispering like conspirators? The billionaire stiffened. Grace lowered her eyes immediately. His wife, dressed in silk, descended the hallway with disdain in her eyes. I heard what those brats said earlier, choosing a servant over their own mother. You're indulging their nonsense by even entertaining it. The billionaire's jaw tightened. He had always avoided conflict, always brushed aside the uncomfortable for the sake of peace. But tonight, something inside him shifted. They're not speaking nonsense, he said quietly but firmly. They're speaking the truth. His wife's eyes widened in shock, then narrowed with fury. Truth? You mean to tell me you believe that maid over me? That woman has manipulated them? Grace flinched, her lips parting to protest, but the billionaire raised his hand gently. His voice, though soft, carried the weight of a storm. Enough. For years I refused to see what was right in front of me, but tonight I heard it from the only mouths that matter. My children's. His wife stared at him, speechless for a moment, then scoffed bitterly. So this is what it's come to. My own husband humiliating me over a maid. She turned sharply and walked away, her heels striking against the marble floor like thunderclaps fading into the distance. Grace stood frozen, her heart pounding. She whispered shakily, Sir, I never wanted to cause this. Please believe me. The billionaire closed his eyes, his voice breaking with exhaustion. I believe you, Grace, and for the first time in my life, I see what really matters. But I'm afraid I may already be too late. Grace hesitated, then softly said, It is never too late to love your children, sir. They don't need perfection. They just need you. Her words lingered in the air like a fragile promise, and deep inside the billionaire, something began to change. A seed of truth, painful but necessary, that would force him to face what he had long ignored. And the reason behind the children's desperate embrace was still waiting to be revealed. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the tall glass windows of the mansion, but the warmth did not reach the hearts inside. The children woke up early and ran straight to Grace's small room at the far end of the corridor. It was barely larger than a closet, with a simple single bed, a tiny wooden table and a chair. Nothing compared to the luxuries of the mansion, but to the children it was a haven. "Are you still here, Auntie Grace?" the little girl asked, her small hands trembling as if afraid she would find the room empty. Grace smiled softly, kneeling to embrace her. "I'm still here, my darling. I promised I wouldn't leave." The boy clung to her arm. "Daddy won't let Mommy send you away, right? You'll stay with us forever?" Grace's heart squeezed. She couldn't promise forever. Life in houses like these had always been uncertain for her. Maids came and went. She had seen it before. One wrong word, one misunderstanding, and she could be dismissed in an instant. Before she could answer, a voice behind them startled her. "She's not going anywhere." The billionaire stood in the doorway, his expression heavy with both determination and sorrow. The children ran to him, hugging his legs. "Daddy, please don't let Mommy take her away." He bent down, his voice breaking. "I promise, no one will take her away from you." Grace's eyes widened in shock. "Sir, you don't need to say such things. I work for this family. If your wife—" he interrupted firmly. "Grace, you don't work for this family. You are this family." Her lips parted, her eyes filling with tears. She had served quietly for years, invisible, unacknowledged. To hear those words, it was as if her heart had been seen for the first time. Just then, his wife entered, her face pale with fury. "What nonsense is this? Have you lost your mind? You're elevating a servant above me, above your children's own mother." The billionaire turned to her, his voice steady but heavy. "No, I am finally acknowledging what I should have seen long ago. Our children don't run into your arms when they are scared. They don't cry for you in the night. They don't seek your embrace. They seek hers, and that is not their fault. It is ours." His wife's eyes narrowed, her voice trembling with rage. "So, what now? You will disgrace this family by putting a maid above us all?" Grace tried to step in, her voice desperate. "Please, sir, madam, don't fight because of me. I never wanted this. I only cared for the children because they needed me." The billionaire turned back to her, his eyes sharp but full of pain. "Why, Grace? Why did they need you so desperately? Why did they cling to you tighter than to their own mother? There must be something I don't know." Grace froze. The room felt heavy, her heart pounding in her chest. For years, she had buried the truth deep inside, protecting the children, protecting herself. But now, the truth was clawing its way out. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "Because they were afraid." The billionaire stepped closer. "Afraid? Afraid of what?" Tears rolled down Grace's cheeks. "Afraid of being alone. Afraid of being unseen. Afraid of her." The room fell into stunned silence. His wife's face twisted in shock. "How dare you—" Grace raised her voice, her tears turning into raw courage. "I heard the cries at night when no one else did. I saw the way they flinched when footsteps echoed down the hall. I was there when they begged for someone to stay by their side, when they whispered that they were afraid their mother didn't want them. And I could not turn away. I held them. I became their shield, their comfort, their—" Her voice broke. "Their mother in the shadows." The billionaire staggered back, his eyes wide, his chest heaving. He turned slowly toward his wife, his voice shaking. "Is it true? Have you neglected them? Left them alone night after night while pretending this house was a home?" His wife's silence was louder than denial. She turned her face away, her lips pressed into a thin, bitter line.
The little girl's voice cut through the tension, trembling but brave. "Daddy, Mommy doesn't kiss us goodnight. She doesn't come when we cry. Auntie Grace does." That's why we love her more. She makes us feel safe." The boy added softly, "She's the only one who listens." The billionaire's eyes filled with tears he could no longer hold back.
He walked toward Grace, his voice breaking like a man who had finally realized the truth he had been blind to. All this time, I thought I was giving them the best life. But the best life isn't measured in riches, it's measured in love. And you, Grace, you gave them what we failed to give. Grace shook her head, tears streaming. I only gave what any heart would give to a child in need. But they deserve it from you, sir. From their parents. They deserve to know that love doesn't vanish when the lights go out. The billionaire dropped to his knees, wrapping his arms around his children. His tears fell freely as he whispered, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I wasn't there. But I promise, from this day forward, I will be." The children clung to him, crying, their small hands clutching his suit, as if they finally believed him. Grace, standing beside them, wept silently, her heart aching yet full. His wife stood frozen, her pride shattered, her silence deafening. For the first time, she looked at her children not with detachment, but with a flicker of something unfamiliar. Regret. The billionaire rose slowly, turning to Grace with a voice thick with gratitude. "You saved them. You saved what I almost lost. You may not share their blood, but in their eyes, you are more than a maid. You are their mother's heart." Grace sobbed quietly, covering her mouth. She had never wanted recognition, never expected to be seen. But those words broke the chains of invisibility she had lived under for years. The children hugged her tightly once more, whispering, "We love you, Auntie Grace. Please never leave us." And in that embrace, the billionaire understood something he had never known in all his years of wealth and power. The greatest treasure he could ever possess was not his empire, not his riches, but the love that came from a heart willing to give without expecting anything in return. He whispered to his children, but also to himself, "From today, we will be a family in truth, not just in name. Because love is the only inheritance worth leaving behind." And in the end, the story closes with this powerful truth. Sometimes the person who loves us most isn't bound to us by blood or titles, but by acts of quiet kindness we never expected. Just like a teacher who stays after class to encourage the struggling student, or the neighbor who checks in on an elderly widow, love often hides in ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And when we see it, truly see it, it changes us forever. So remember, the real wealth of life isn't in the size of your home, but in the warmth within it. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Black Saga. Drop a comment, like this video, and share it with someone who needs to be reminded that love is the greatest gift we can give.